Well, you're coming through well. You're coming through very well. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, good.
Deadman Stone Podcast, your host, Mr. Deadman, and joining us tonight is Renee DeCamillis. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I know it took a while for us to get contacted or whatever, private numbers and all. It's Skype.
Oh, yeah.
Skype has limitations too. Finding more and more about that. I have a quick announcements for everyone real fast. Okay. First off, patrons get more than ever. Private shows. About the private shows, they're more than just extra clippings of this podcast. They're standalone episodes, oftentimes with guests, and we explore various things in kaiju battles, insane versus battles, and some X-rated things that I can't really go into detail. What am I talking about? You got to be a patron to find out. So the link is in the description box. And one other announcement. Someone wanted me to I guess put this on blast real fast. Wild Claw Theater is now taking submissions for their 11th Death Scribe, the only annual international festival of horror audio drama. Every year they seek 10-minute radio scripts that are genuinely scary, imaginative, chilling, and intelligent, suspenseful, horrific, and downright grotesque. They select 5 scripts to perform on stage in front of a live audience, directed by and starring some of Chicago's hottest talent, backed by a full band and a team of Foley artists, generating all sound effects live. Submitting to the festival is free, and the writer of the winning piece, chosen by a celebrity panel of judges, will receive the coveted Bloody Axe Award, as well as a cash prize. They're accepting script submissions for Death Scribe 11 through July 31st, so hop on to it, guys. It's about to run out. And you can go to their website, which is Wildclaw Theater, so with an R-E at the end, .com. Okay, the link is in the description box below, too. All right. Okay, with that said, this episode is pretty much a continuation of the last time Renee was on, where we talked about Chris Cornell and his death and the details surrounding it. Now, first thing I want to say is we're going to handle this subject matter very respectfully. I know people will be like, "Oh, you guys are, looking into this and digging into this. It's very disrespectful." But I have to say that there's a lot of people that are just not satisfied with the official narrative, and it seems like there's probably something more because, well, Renee, help me out here. What are some highlights? What are some things from the last show we can kind of just highlight real fast?
Well, a lot of people are complaining about the timeline. How the timeline doesn't line up, and people talk about the tox report and prescription medications that were in his system, but none of them were at astronomical levels. They were all at therapeutic levels. Well, there were only 2. And then there are no photos of him coming back to the hotel and supposedly signing autographs like his bodyguard had said.
Yeah.
There's no footage of anything really after the show. I mean, nobody caught the ambulance leaving I don't know, and nothing was caught. And then the door that was supposedly kicked in by the bodyguard, which it's barely damaged at all. The interior lock was supposedly locked.
Yeah.
But it looks like it was the latch was just broken off from the inside. And then just all the blood. The blood, so much blood for a supposed suicide by hanging. And then one of the big things we left off on was the head trauma. And that was pretty much, the big whammy we kind of ended on.
That's right. And the timeline is very weird, too. I know we talked about that. But it's just the amount of time, first off, the amount of time it took for the bodyguard to supposedly, respond to the situation.
Well, that was something I was wondering about, too. And I was looking back through my notes from the, I listened to the podcast and then was going back through my notes. And I remember reading a bunch about that 40-minute time that some people were saying it took that much time for Martin to get to go check on Chris. But when I was reviewing the police report, it actually states that Vicky called him at 12:15, and then in two different parts of the report, it actually lists that Martin went to Chris's room to check on him at 12:15. But then another part says at 12:30, and Martin has gone on record to say that he was on the phone with Vicky the whole time. So I don't know if that 40 minutes was how long it took him to get there, or actually how long it took the first medic to get there. I think he went there immediately, and this was what I think is even worse, was with the body for 40 minutes before anybody arrived, like any official person. So that, I think, might have been an error in the last one, but I don't know. In the police report, it says that Martin went right to the room, and then that the first responder came around 1:05.
Well, it's going to happen. I mean, it's possible that we could have had an error on the prior show, and because there's discrepancies in the report and the articles that come out. There's details that get kind of weird. All right. So, and we received feedback on the prior show, and one of the responses, a common thread in all those responses really, is that we need to go deeper. We need to dig in some more because we barely even grazed the surface. And not knowing as much as you do on this, and I'm going to just let you take the driver's seat on this and be like, okay, where do we start? Where's a good place to start?
Well, I had started, like last show, I started right from the beginning, because after the show, I ended up writing a whole article about this, going right through the reports and published it on my website, because we weren't able to go through the whole thing because there's just so much. But I wanted to start from the beginning because, first off, people need to realize that this wasn't a suicide. And first, so that's why I started right from the beginning. But the head trauma is the big thing. All the blood at the scene is the big thing. This man is said to have killed himself by hanging himself.
Yeah.
But there is so much blood, and none of the reports mention the head trauma. But yet, I did find. Well, we mentioned in the previous show about the video of the last show. Everybody sees the head trauma. People were trying to claim it was a bald spot, blah, blah, blah. No, it's head trauma. His wife has even gone on record now to say that it's head trauma. But I'll get to that in just a minute.
Yeah, I think some people even try to say it's the lights, right? They try to say it's like the concert lights.
Oh, I mean, I had people online bashing me, telling me I was psycho, and it was just a reflection of the light on a bald spot, and blah blah blah. But yeah, that's been proven wrong. It was head trauma.
Okay. And what proves it wrong?
What proves it wrong is in the police report. I found that. Of course, the autopsy doesn't mention head trauma. So in the police report, I found in the event report from the medical examiner observations of investigator Angela Anderson Cobb, and when she observed the scene and the surroundings, I will quote what the report said. It says, "The deceased, an adult white male, is lying supine on the suite's bedroom area, having been moved there to facilitate resuscitation efforts prior to my arrival on the scene. Stains of suspected blood are present on his face and on the floor next to and beneath his head." End of quote. So there it is right there. First off, I didn't even think of this. Another person, another truth seeker in this whole thing has brought up to me is that, first off, why did they move the body? To perform resuscitation? I mean, this is a suite, and it's Chris Cornell in the MGM. I mean, that's a huge bathroom. You have plenty of room to perform CPR. And then, not only did they move him, but they dragged him. They dragged him.
Yeah.
With his head dragging across the floor. That's how you respect the dead. And then there's still blood under his head when this Angela Anderson Cobb arrives. There's blood under his head. Why is there blood under his head?
Is it possible? Is it possible that the bodyguard could have moved the body?
Well, in the report, it also states that CPR was first started in the bathroom, that the first responder actually removed the resistance band and took the him down, even though Martin Kirsten, the bodyguard, stated that he took him down. But the first responder also states that they themselves, the first responder, took him down.
That's so strange.
I don't know who's telling the truth.
That's so weird. So wait, they take him down, they do CPR in the bathroom, yet somehow he ends up in the in the
master bedroom.
Master bedroom.
Yes.
Okay.
By the time this Angela Anderson Cobb arrived, he's in the bedroom at the foot of the bed, where he claims that's where they moved him to perform resuscitation. But first responder said that they took him down and performed resuscitation there in the bathroom. But Martin also states that he took him down and performed CPR with one hand. And then that's also been an argument of fans when I question, why did Chris have 9 broken ribs? Well, all the CPR, Martin performed CPR, the first responder performed CPR. Martin says they performed CPR for resuscitation efforts for like an hour.
Yeah, but that can break a
9
rib
broken
or
ribs.
it's possible. I said it's possible to break a rib with CPR. It's possible, but we're talking about 9
it does
ribs,
happen.
though.
But 9 is excessive. Yes. I mean, from the description of the scene and the body, it sounds more like someone beat the crap out of him. Someone warned him. Allegedly, this is just from my observations. It seems as though someone fucked him up before the show, and then they finished him off after. That's what it looks like.
Okay.
But he also just came home. He just came back from visiting with his family for Mother's Day.
So
he just came back to the show that day.
Okay.
From visiting with the family. And then there's also discrepancy. Did he fly or did he drive? Nobody really knows if he flew or if he drove. And some people say he drove because he was paranoid. Why was he paranoid?
That's another thing I heard about. That it was like he got an airplane ticket, but he also drove because he was paranoid. But why was he paranoid?
Well, it's a very good question. I mean, and if you watch the video footage of that last concert, people are like, some people, it depends on who you ask, depends on different perceptions. Everybody's perception is different. Some people think he just seems like he was completely messed up on drugs. And me, how I see it, was that he was pissed off and freaked the fuck out. Something was going on. He looked just out, like, I don't mean out in left field like drugs, but he was angry. And he looked scared. I mean, there are shots of him where the look on his face, and, he's a performer too. People can argue.
Yeah.
It's all part of the performance. But then with the head trauma, again, back in March, like so many fans were wondering, like, why isn't anybody mentioning the head trauma? What about the head trauma? What about the head trauma? And Vicky keeps claiming drugs. And, well, I was so angry that she was going on this drug angle that I had seen a tweet she had put out there about the Ativan, and that's what made him so out of his mind, that he unknowingly took his own life. And I'm like, well, and I asked her directly, I said, well, don't you think that the head trauma that he had might have had something to do with him acting strangely? Don't you think, I have my exact, because she commented to me. I said, okay, so someone was calling her out on how she was, about what the ME said.
Yeah.
So her response is, and I'm quoting her, the ME was not commenting on my husband's mental state or level. Oh, because they said, that drugs did not contribute to the death. So someone had asked her about that. Like, the ME said drugs did not contribute to his death. So what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So Vicky Cornell, I'm going to quote her actual tweet to this person, said, the ME was not commenting on my husband's mental state or the level of impairment. The statement, she quotes, the drugs did not contribute to the cause of death, was simply that they were not the mechanical cause. It has since been misinterpreted and has caused confusion. So my response to that was, and I quote my response, everything you've said about this mental impairment could have also been caused by the head trauma Chris Cornell had. The large bloody wound is blatantly visible in the last concert footage. And what about his 9 broken ribs? How did he get all those injuries? And her reply to me was, yes, it could have, and most certainly exacerbated all the symptoms. That was on March 1st.
Wow.
She admitted that he had head trauma.
There's other parts to this, because it's like, wait a second. I mean, there's another layer. Like, who is spooking him? Like, yes, the head trauma. And, he definitely he looked very shaken up in that performance. So, I mean, it's very possible that someone kicked his ass or spooked him in the beginning, or maybe he found out some information that is pretty haunting. But, I mean...
And that's what the allegations are saying. And, I mean, another thing about him being spooked, there's... now, this is all hearsay. I'm just repeating what I've heard. There was a woman on YouTube I was referred to called the Higher Truth Lady.
Okay.
And someone had commented on one of her videos, because she didn't believe Chris Cornell committed suicide. So she would put out these videos where she was doing what I'm doing, but I do it through writing because that's what I do. But a fan had commented, a fan who was at that last show commented. So she did another video. And this fan, because she wanted to bring up what this fan said in his comment, and there was a fan that was at that last show this is what they claim, I don't know if it's true. They claim that they saw Chris come in a black hoodie, escorted by 2 bodyguards that were not Martin Kirsten. They were 2 black guys that were taller than Chris. And they stayed right on the side of the stage from what the fan had seen. Basically, they escorted him in, and the fan just got this weird air of the situation.
Yeah.
And he didn't feel comfortable, but he didn't know what to do about it. Like, what do I, I'm just this one in thousands of people out. What do I do? If I try to do something, they're just going to kick me out. So he didn't do anything. Again, I don't know if it's true. But that some people are going on that little bit of information that, okay, he's escorted there by 2 different bodyguards, okay, and he has a head injury. So some people are hearing that story and putting, well, maybe whoever these bodyguards were put on him by somebody, up a tier.
Could be.
But I don't know. I don't have proof of that. And I keep coming back to the fact that he just came home, back from visiting home, and his wife has a history of volatile outbursts and angry outbursts,
Oh,
but
yeah?
they're a feud at home. I don't know. Who knows? There have been stories of her on a plane throwing things when she got angry because who knows what she got angry about, but she got angry about something and just yelled, "Oh, that was my idea," and threw something and hit some passenger and knocked the person's glasses off. And I don't know, there was some article I read about it. Is it true? I don't know. The media lies too. So, but there's so much out there about how he was on a very short leash and very tightly controlled.
Huh.
But there are there are tons of allegations. In my research, what I found was interesting is that is Chris's work on The Promise.
Okay.
And that's a big thing. It's a philanthropic endeavor that I found out is backed by the UN. The UN was doing these short films. And The Promise was, Chris, did a song for The Promise, and that's one of the short films helping the, Syrian refugees and children and, bringing awareness to the crisis. And in April before he died, him and his family had gone to Athens, Greece. They had visited an orphanage. I think Chris played for the Pope.
Yeah.
He visited the UN. And then, weeks later, he's in concert in Florida, and he's talking shit about all these billionaires, like the types of people he was just with.
Yeah,
and then
I heard about that. I saw that. We talked a little bit about that last time. I believe he said. He alluded to something. He hinted something, like he had a big plan, like he had some big ideas, like he was planning something big.
Yeah, he was. He made a video for The Promise, and that was something I had talked about in the last podcast, like you just said, and I had mentioned some dates about June 20th, 2017, and I thought that's when he was supposed to do a concert, but the concert was actually in September of 2017, the Global Citizens Music Festival. That's where he wanted to make history. He said he was going to make real history, not pop history. That's what his manager was quoted as saying. And then June 20th, 2017, that was actually when he had requested for the release of the video for The Promise. So a month later. So he dies, and a month later that video comes out. I mean, and then, I don't know. It's the timing of everything is just so suspicious.
Well, so here's what we have so far. That there's head trauma. There's definitely, and for those that doubt the head trauma, there's definitely a lot of blood in the hotel room for someone being hung or being hanged.
Yeah.
That's a lot of blood for that. And it's very suspicious that they just moved the body out from one room to the other, and blood, just dragged and being pulled under his head. And all that. Okay. But here's the other thing. What are the possible alleged suspects? What are we looking at here? What are their motives? So far we have Vicky. Okay, she sounds like she has a short fuse, anger problems, keeps Chris close, very vicious. We haven't even gone to the full detail of how vicious she is. So I guess now let's talk a little bit more about Vicky.
Yes. Well, I've been a Chris Cornell fan back since the beginning, since the 90s. And I didn't know anything about his personal life. I didn't look into his personal life. That's not the kind of fan I've ever been. So then after he dies, I start digging because I'm like, what the hell happened? And this woman, there are lawsuits and lawsuits and lawsuits since before she was ever with Chris to today. She's just Sue crazy.
Wow.
Sue crazy.
She's addicted to lawsuits, huh? She's just suing.
Addicted to lawsuits. Even sued the college. Oh, no, the college she went to actually, I think, sued her. Yeah, Columbia or somebody sued her. There's lawsuits against her. She has lawsuits against other people. Her mother, her psycho mother, has lawsuits against people. Like her father has been investigated for tax issues, and the whole family is allegedly pretty damn shady. There are allegations galore out there of the shady crap that they're in. And one thing I found very interesting, I just discovered this today, that her maid of honor at her wedding with Chris, her maid of honor was married to a Russian billionaire at the time.
Okay.
So first, I'm curious how she's even friends with somebody that's married to a Russian billionaire when she was just a PR chick. Mm-hmm. But I just saw that her maid of honor, this Dasha Zukova, was just spotted on David Geffen's $200 million yacht earlier this month, and they're all of a sudden very close. Vicky's best friend is now close with David Geffen and hanging out on his yacht. But Vicky, more about Vicky, she has all these businesses under her name, like LLCs. Nobody knows what they're for. And the Chris and Vicky Cornell Foundation, this is this is the big one. This is what I think they were fighting. This is what I think Chris and Vicky were fighting about.
Okay.
Allegedly, on that night, is that it's a total fraud. I'm going to say that outright. I mean, it's public record. You can see all the money that's been siphoned out of there for travel expenses. There was one year that I think there was $95,000 was for administrative costs.
Oh yeah, that's
well,
bogus.
that's Vicky. That's for Vicky. So she's getting paid. She's paying herself out of a charity.
Well, that's what they all do, right? I mean, that's what a lot of them do anyway.
Well, and then taking out money for travel expenses. Oh, well, at the time you're going to see the orphanage, you're also doing other things. So you're going to borrow money. I mean, not that was the exact trip that they borrowed money for, but I'm just, being a little snarky about it. But so there are allegations. What's that?
I wonder how Chris thought about that, especially since he really spilled the beans when he was in Florida about how much he hates billionaires and how much he hates the people around him because they don't give a fuck about him. They don't care about him. They just see him as pretty much as like some guy who can put on a performance. Play music for me, boy. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Come on, monkey, dance, monkey.
Yeah. And he wasn't about that life. I mean, he was a small. He came from a small town. He had a small town. I don't know, man. Like,
that's what I don't get. Like, how did he end up there? For I don't know. Like, well, I don't know. Everybody has their theories, but I've seen some alleged posts from relatives that said he was trying to escape his past and going the whole opposite direction of what he would have. But who knows?
I mean, he probably was. I mean, hell, he had a taste of fame and he wanted more of it. That happens. But then
happens. Yeah, it snaps.
But at the same time, he sees the company that it attracts, and he clearly had a problem with it.
Yes. Well, that's what like I said, that's what I find interesting, that it was, all his work on The Promise is with all these billionaires. That's who he's working with. And then he has that visit in April of 2017 over there, and he's, the UN. I mean, come on, you know. And less than a month later, he's dead. And his death is a month before the release of the Promise video, and he had it set that all the proceeds go to the IRC.
Did that even happen?
I don't know, but that's linked to, that's the Clinton Foundation. The Clinton Foundation runs that. And I mean, Vicky was pushing the crap out of it.
I mean, that's a questionable foundation too. I mean, they take, the Clintons take money out of that too.
Exactly. And here he is, you can't tell me that he dies and that doesn't make more money.
Yeah.
For the IRC, because he just died. It would have made more money after his death than it would have made had he still been alive. And there's just so much. I get lost. But this whole there are allegations out there about this is going to bring me back to Vicky's maid of honor, and these are just my theories.
Okay.
Just I don't know, but there's talk about shady stuff going on at their Florida residence.
Okay.
That there's an alleged escort service going on, run by Vicky's family.
Okay. I mean, that's what the American way of life, right? You're selling selling sex.
Well, allegedly, if this is going on, they're the escorts are not American.
Okay, like Russian bridesmaids?
What's that?
So like Russian bridesmaids or something? Or like the Russian escorts?
This is where I keep going, because I just keep looking back to who her maid of honor was, and she was married to a Russian billionaire.
Okay, there we go. Okay, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Computer crash and had to start back over. I apologize for that, Miss Renee.
That's okay.
DeCamillis,
I understand.
It happens. It happens. Maybe it's connected with this. Maybe it's because we're talking about Chris Cornell and people want to shut us up. Maybe I should be spooked right now. I don't know. But it sounds like we were on to something. We're talking about the possible motives. So we're going with what Chris Cornell was spooked, but why? What's going on here? And we were looking at Vicky, but then we're going down Vicky and looking at the bridesmaid and the billionaire that she's married to. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So let's look at this.
Yeah. So I'm just like I said, I was just curious, like, to know, like, you know, not a lot's known about Vicky before Chris, but I'm curious, like, you know, like how she best friends with a woman who's married to a Russian billionaire.
Yeah.
If Vicky's just a PR, you know, what articles have said, you know, she was working PR at a audio slave party in 2003, and that's how her and Chris met, you know. And it makes me just wonder, okay, there are allegations that Vicky's family runs an escort service. Her maid of honor is married to a Russian billionaire. These escorts are supposedly, you know, bought by, you know, rich, well-to-do people. And I'm just wondering, you know, what kind of PR was Vicky working? Maybe Chris didn't know what Vicky was there working, and she was really working him.
Yeah.
And, you know, woo, cha-ching, look at what I just landed, Mom and Dad. And, you know, Chris has said in articles that, you know, he had to jump through hoops to get Vicky's family to accept him and prove that he wasn't this stereotype rock star that was going to corrupt their, like, angel of a daughter.
Angel of a daughter? She's running in it.
Oh, yeah.
She's connected to an escort service. That's a far cry of an angel.
Yeah, and I just find it awfully ironic that he had to prove himself to her family now that I've been digging and finding out what they are allegedly involved in.
So
you know, and it's like, okay, so that was a big show for Chris Cornell to make him think that he was landing some kind of prize. It's like, well, if you were landing some kind of prize, then how come everybody you knew and everyone that loved you said, no, dude, don't do it?
Yeah, I
but
read that
anyway.
too. I read those remarks as well. They were all warning him to stay away.
Yes, everybody said that she's not right for you, but
so
you know, you can't tell anybody that. You know, people, just natural human tendency is to want to prove people wrong. Like, no, I really found the one. Yeah, the one to end you, dude.
So the lawsuit, the trend of lawsuits in her multiple businesses and being connected with an escort service, this paints, you know, her character. Now the argument or the frustrations and arguments over the foundation. You know, that kind of makes you wonder, okay, so is there, because once money is involved, and we're talking about a lot of money, what's going on here? But wouldn't it be better for her to keep, like, if we're going to go, okay, maybe Vicky somehow allegedly connected to this, wouldn't it be better for her to have Chris, you know, be alive and be performing? Or was Chris about to divorce her or something? Like, what was going on?
Well, that's what all the allegations are. I mean, I've seen a ton of people claiming that they were separated. I can't find the proof, but what I do know is that they were fighting.
Okay.
Proof of that is just in that, I mean, Vicky and her mother are social media whores, and what I mean by that is they're just addicted to social media, and they're very out there, especially her mom.
Yeah, I mean, they're not like social media whores where they're showing like their tits and ass all the time. Wait, are they?
No. But I mean, like they suck it up. They love it. They love it. They love the attention. And I mean, I've been attacked and bullied by Vicky's mother.
Oh wow.
Because I've claimed, like, you know, no, why isn't there an investigation going on? Like, why aren't you looking into this? And, you know, I've commented, and she has attacked me. And oh, and I'm a nobody, and I wish somebody would write about my life, and I'm, she talks about Chris's fans as though she says we're peasants, and seriously, woman? But, yeah, so, and that's what I mean by media whore. They just suck it up. I have people on Instagram accounts that attack me, other Instagram accounts that attack, they have people, allegedly, her and her mother have hired people to create all these different kind of social media accounts that you don't know who's running the social media account because they don't use their name. But yet they're bad-mouthing all of Chris's family, his brother, his mother. I mean, all kinds of bad crap
so they can claim victim. So they can claim harassment. Victim.
Yes. I mean, and there was a Detroit News article released on May 15th of this year where, well, that's another thing. Vicky has come out in that article about the head trauma now. She wants to know what happened. Now she's all of a sudden concerned over a year later. But they play the victim. Yeah, in that article, she's claiming that they've been being bullied and that her children have been being bullied. But her mother is like, they bully Chris's fans all over the place. And after in that Twitter exchange I had told you about where Vicky, back in March, where Vicky admitted the head trauma to me, immediately after that, she has blocked me from everything related to Chris Cornell that she runs. I'm blocked from Chris Cornell. I'm blocked from Vicky. I'm blocked from everything.
Well, of course, you're asking questions. You're asking way too many questions.
Yes.
Don't want to be bothered.
But about the fighting, Peter Cornell is Chris's brother, who he was pretty close with. His wife, Amy Decker, has gone on social media, Instagram, and because they've been, Vicky and her mother, well, Vicky's mother, that's what I've witnessed, has just torn Peter apart and just says horrible, horrible, horrible things about all of Chris's blood relatives.
Wow.
But anyway, there was an Instagram comment that Peter's wife, Amy Decker, made to Vicky's mother, Tony, and under Tony's Instagram account name, it's at Temple of the Pit.
Okay.
And Amy Decker is La Accidental Vegetarian. But anyways, Amy Decker says, go eat shit. Pete talks to all three band members regularly. And hey, Tony, my guess is Vicky doesn't want this all played out in the public eye. So unless you want the world to know what you said to Martin when he found Chris, or Vicky's last text to Chris, which I have a copy of, I suggest you shut the fuck up, crazy old bat.
Oh, wow.
So that right there tells me that Vicky and Chris were fighting.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's there's no doubt in that. The other things are all speculation. Well, what's all this other stuff mean? What's this mean? You can come up with all kinds of stories. Yeah. But the one thing you can get out of that is that, guess what? It is true that on that last night of Chris's life, they were fighting. And Chris did hang up on her, and then he wouldn't answer her calls. And that's what Martin had said in the police report. She called Martin because she was angry that Chris would not answer her calls. And when someone doesn't answer your calls, what's the natural response? You text them. Okay, you're not answering their phone?
I don't know about natural response, but I know that a lot of people do respond.
Well, yeah.
Especially in a way.
I don't text, so it wouldn't be my natural response because I don't text at all. But
some people have a tendency to take it to a whole other level. Be like, oh, you're not answering your phone. Oh, okay, I'm going to text you. I want to find out where you are. Oh, you're still not answering. I'm going to find someone next to you, Nate, and call them.
Oh, yeah. You think? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to call Martin, and I'm going to say, guess what? The son of a bitch knows what the fuck I'm up to. It's time to fucking end him now. Done deal. Don't worry, you'll get your pay. Allegedly. This is me.
Allegedly,
yes.
Okay, well.
This is me writing the story in my head. Now, how I see it.
Are there any other details that would that make you think Vicky has motive? Before we move on to David Geffen.
Well, why I think she had motive is all the money taken from the foundation. That's Chris's name. And he just did all that work on the Promise, which is pushing the Chris and Vicky Cornell Foundation. And then these allegations of the other things she was into, did he find out about that? I mean, I'm asking. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the foundation stuff, and then all the allegations to the shady business, I mean, it's out there that she does have all these LLCs, limited liability corporations. I know what those are. Those protect you against the IRS. Those are a protection.
Well, I will say, for anyone who wants to start a business, an LLC is the best way to go. I mean, Deadman's Tome is an LLC. You know, have to be smart about that. You know,
but she has like a long list of them. Like, what are they? Nobody knows what those businesses are.
Well, I will say, not to defend her, but someone owning a lot of businesses, maybe shady businesses, maybe they're just propped up. Maybe they're for laundering money. I don't know. I don't know what they're for. But there's a lot of businesses.
I don't know either.
There's a lot of businesses. I mean, like,
I think the foundation, even all those allegations aside, the foundation alone, I think would be enough to cause a big rift in a relationship.
Yeah, that foundation sounds like the main thing.
That sounds like the main deal to me. I mean, because that has Chris's name on it. And speaking of Chris's name, I mean, there are things she's signed his name to since his death, too, I've seen, allegedly. But anyway, yeah, the foundation, I think, could potentially be what they were fighting about, that he may or may not have found out about misuse of funds. Okay. And his name is tied to that. And all these lawsuits out there, I've seen on a lot of them that his name is on them, too. I don't know if he knew about all that stuff. I don't know. I don't know if he knew about all that stuff. But the foundation definitely, I mean...
Okay.
Because she took care of it all. I mean, he was the name behind it, and, you know, but she was the administration. I mean, he's the artist, you know? He's the artist in the name.
Okay. Yeah, are there any other possibilities? I hear you mentioned David Geffen a few times. Now, does he have motive? Does he have any ties to this, or alleged ties to this?
I keep trying to find out, like, I see all this stuff about the pedophiles, and I've read all the stuff that's out there, the Randy Rocket, I've seen all the different types of YouTube videos that are out there, and the Pizzagate, and so, like I said, I keep trying to follow the money.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking, who profits the biggest?
Yeah.
So, I see Vicky Cornell profits, but not as big as, it's just David Geffen. I mean, he's the one who Soundgarden's under. I mean, David Geffen is a billionaire. He's one of these types of people Chris was bad-mouthing, and so it just made me want to look into, like, okay, what's the deal with him? Okay, he's obviously making tons of money, but, you know, then people can say, oh, so just because he's making money off it doesn't mean he did anything, you know, and I know what people could say, and I'm just curious, you know, I'm a curious fan. I want to know what really happened, because suicide is not what really happened. So in looking into just David Geffen, okay, what's up with David Geffen? What's going on with David Geffen? And I come up and I find that, you know, back in, you know, I don't know, was it the late 90s? There was a guy that was that David Geffen had invested in his company. It was some sort of internet-based company. I can't find the details of it. But back in the 90s, there was a guy who was convicted of pedophilia.
Okay.
And it was someone who David Geffen had invested in his business.
Okay.
And the guy fled the country, claiming that he was fleeing because David Geffen wanted him dead.
Oh, shit.
Now, these, you know, people say, oh, yeah, he's crazy. He's just grasping. He's just trying to blame somebody else. And, well, what's he trying to blame David Geffen for? You know, this guy, obviously, he got busted for the pedophilia.
Yeah.
You know, and he didn't say why. I don't think he said why he thought David Geffen was, you know, supposedly going to kill him. But, I found it interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Okay, back in the 90s, someone is accusing David Geffen. Someone actually fled the country because they thought David Geffen was going to kill them. Well, not that the borders of this country would stop David Geffen.
Yeah.
But anyway.
See, now I'm curious about who this
IT guy is. So I just started looking into David Geffen. What's that?
So in this company he helped found as an IT company?
It was some sort of internet-based company because it was, the late 90s when the internet was starting to become big. I can't find
Yeah, there's so many ideas. I just did a podcast for I'll be scheduled to release whenever kind of on like a little vacation about Hollywood and the pedophiles and pedophile rings, and there is a name that comes up, and he owns a yacht, and he's an IT guy, and he hosts a lot of like underage gay parties on his boat. It would be so interesting if it's him, but there's so many IT guys, IT founders, whatever. It could be like a dime a dozen. As far as who it could be.
Well, I have it here somewhere. I'm just trying to find it. Like I'm trying to talk and trying to search at the same time to try to find the guy's name. But while I'm looking for that, I also found an article where there is a porn star.
Oh wow! Okay.
Who was in court? I don't even remember what he was in court for. Again, it's just something I gotta find
a male
here.
Porn star.
Yes, a male porn star.
Okay.
I believe David Geffen's gay.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was. I don't remember what he was going to court for, but he didn't dare to bring up David Geffen's name in court, and at least from what I read. I mean, of course, the media, twist things. You don't know if it's the whole truth, but what I read was that the porn star was just stating that David Geffen had paid for some dental work of his.
Okay.
Like it seemed as though there might have been, I don't know, was there a relationship? I don't know. That's what it seemed to. It seemed as though he didn't want to name David Geffen because it would allude to the fact that there was. Here it is. There was a relationship.
Must be a pretty good relationship to be paying dental work. I mean, that's not cheap at all.
If David Geffen is paying for dental work of this, and he was an attractive porn star. Not that looks are everything, but it is the entertainment industry. But he just didn't dare name David Geffen's name in this court case. To say David Geffen paid for my dental work. Well, because what's that say? Well, David Geffen's paying for this male porn star's dental work. Why is David Geffen linked to this porn star? What else is going? But so this is the first man I said that fled the country. He was convicted of pedophilia. Digital pioneer Mark Collins Rector. He believed because he thought David Geffen wanted to destroy him.
Wow, that name came up in that podcast I did because he is notorious. He's connected with so many people. Bryan Singer. Well, there's a lot more than that, but Bryan Singer's the main guy that he's connected with. Is one of the.
Yes, and in all this research, I've found that David Geffen works with a lot of convicted pedophiles, or has backed companies of convicted pedophiles. He's connected to a lot of convicted pedophiles. He's been at parties where the pedophilia has taken place, where these pedophiles have been convicted of things that had happened at these parties, but David Geffen's lawyer says, well, David didn't have any idea that was going on.
And that's another thing. David
didn't know that was going on.
and I read articles that show that Chris Cornell, not just Chris Cornell, but what's his name, Chester from Lincoln Park, right? That they were at these parties too. That they knew about David Geffen's parties, like they knew about it, but I don't think they were there for the same. Like they would be at one of his parties and they would be aware of like some weird things happening. And they would try to bring it up to David, but David would make it seem as if, nothing's happening.
Well, I didn't hear about the party stuff, but I did. What I've heard is that there are allegations out there that someone had come to Chester, a fan had come to Chester, or I don't know if it was a fan but someone had come to Chester because, Chester's on record. He, admitted to being a victim of sexual assault.
Of course, it's all in his music.
Minor.
It's totally
everybody
in his
knows
music.
this. Right, and so someone had gone, these are allegations, this is what people are saying, that someone had gone to Chester and opened up to him that they had been sexually assaulted too, and named who had done it. And Chester had gone to Chris about it, because they were best friends. And these are all allegations, again, that supposedly Chris and Chester went to the person that the guy had named that had assaulted him, and allegedly it's David Geffen. Allegedly.
Oh, wow. Allegedly.
And that, and what rumor says is that Geffen said, basically keep your fucking mouth shut, or if you want your careers, you keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
And how the story goes is that just prompted Chris and Chester to other people that come forward to them about the same person, and they started videotaping these people telling them what had happened to them and who had done it, and that they had these interviews on a USB drive. And this is the talk. That's one of the theories out there. There's other talk about supposedly they got a hold of some black book and all these names. I don't know.
Whoa.
I don't know. But the allegations are out there. The black book brings in all kinds of other names. But I just I follow the money.
Yeah.
But that could still bring you to the other names because of the promise. That's where the web just gets tangled even more.
See, this is interesting. You follow the money, and you also follow people who have motive as far as, like, David Geffen doesn't want his name to be exposed. If he allegedly does this stuff, pedophilia, he doesn't want that to be out there.
No.
That could destroy him.
No, come on. Geffen is DreamWorks. Geffen isn't just the music industry. He's the movie industry.
Yeah. If it comes out that... it happened to Bryan Singer. It can happen to anybody. And Bryan Singer is disgusting. This guy had been sued for violating like 15, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds. But they don't... He still works in Hollywood. He just... He was on the Bohemian movie associated with Queen, right? But he left that project because of the hashtag Me Too movement or whatever. But he's still in Hollywood. He's still circling around. He'll come back in.
Oh, I didn't know he was tied to that movie.
Yeah.
Ah.
Oh, he's tied to of course, you probably know about, he's tied to the X-Men, the X-Men, X-Men 2, a bunch of other movies. Can't think of them right now, but he's pretty popular.
Yeah, but, Geffen doesn't want his name associated with them. Even if it's just simply doing business with these people.
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to accuse Geffen of anything. It's just
he might come
every
for you.
path I go down in my research, I just keep coming to David Geffen.
Because
David
Geffen. There's something that's very interesting about this, because the reason why I brought up Chester is because he's also a victim. I think his suicide was not just a suicide. And there's something even other. Isn't there a photo of David Geffen with Anthony Bourdain? Or am I making that up?
I don't know.
I believe I saw
I don't know.
But you know what I find is funny? Like I haven't thoroughly researched Bennington. I haven't researched Bourdain at all. But what I find interesting is, wasn't it? I thought I saw. I even shared the video of Bourdain's girlfriend. I can't remember. Was it Asia or I can't remember her name.
She started acting crazy. Yeah.
I had seen at some award show where she had a very emotional rant to the audience about, Weinstein, and she even said about the more of you that are out there. She's like, and you know who you are.
Yeah.
Like basically addressing people in the audience. And then boom, Bourdain's dead. It's like, really? What? Then her boyfriend dies? Suicide? Hanging? Okay. Are we back to, like, the old days where we're starting to hang people in the square?
Yeah.
That's what it seems like.
I mean, these are secrets. These are open secrets they don't want people to get out. And there's something else here I'm pulling up real fast. There is a tweet that was on Anthony Bourdain's Twitter feed. And this is all important because it relates to this. I don't want to go on the whole Anthony Bourdain. That's another rabbit hole. But
No. Go ahead.
Okay, so on this Twitter feed before he died was let me get there. Okay, so ... and I am in no way an HRC fan. I've been on the receiving end of her operative's wrath, and it ain't fun.
Whoa, okay, will you read that one more time?
Okay, well, actually, this gets even crazier. I have information that will lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton. Oh, Trump would want that. Fuck. And I am...
Wait, who wrote that? Bourdain?
Bourdain. I have information that will lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton. And then...
well, everybody that says anything about Hillary Clinton ends up dead.
Well,
Trump hasn't yet, but he's protected by the Russians, allegedly.
Yeah. And he says... It all
comes back to the Russians,
yeah,
allegedly.
Says, and I am in no way an HRC fan. I've been on the receiving end of her operative's wrath, and it ain't fun.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's...
So he had posted... So, let me guess. Did somebody claim after his death that his account was hacked? To Linda Bennington?
They didn't claim that. I don't think anyone really claimed that, but it's more like people look at it, but they don't really dig into it, which I was surprised. I want to say something.
Why not?
I don't know.
Why wouldn't you dig into that?
I'm a huge fan of like the Joe Rogan podcast. That's kind of what I kind of modeled this podcast around. But even he looked at those tweets and he was like, he did no real digging. He did no real digging on the stance of be respectful for the dead, which I get that. But at the same time, though, it's like, dude, that right there is like especially Joe Rogan. It's all about conspiracies. That is a big thing right there.
That is huge. That's huge.
I mean, and he hangs himself, or he's found to be hanged, just like everybody else.
No.
That seems like a calling card. If I was, that seems so weird that these people who all have like supposed mental illness, depression, are all just hanging themselves, and they all seem to be connected in one way or the other.
And you know what I think is funny? Why are all these rich people, these celebrities, choosing a poor man's death and suffering?
Oh man.
Seriously, they're not poor. There's no need to hang yourself and make yourself suffer. No, somebody else wants you to suffer.
I mean,
allegedly.
There's so many faster ways to off yourself if you're depressed. I mean, you could just like overdose on your pain meds, or not pain meds, but overdose on your medication.
Exactly. It's that simple. I mean, and come on. I mean, celebrities, they have access to all boatloads of drugs, prescribed or not prescribed. You want to end yourself, and you want to end it just as quick and painlessly as possible. These celebrities have the means, but they're choosing a poor man's death, a suffering, pain, excruciating death. No, sorry, I don't buy it. And I didn't know anything about those Bourdain tweets. I mean, that makes it. Come on.
Yeah, that's just me to throw some extra.
Come on.
That was just me to put some color into this conversation we're talking about here. So any other?
That brings up something else I had just seen on to Linda Bennington's Twitter.
Okay.
She had posted. She had shared an article. I couldn't even read the article because just the title pissed me off. Just about all how there's like a suicide crisis in this country. It's a suicide crisis. And, to Linda shared this, and to Linda is, I guess, a part of it. And I commented on it because I can't even stand it. It's like, it's not a suicide crisis. It's not a suicide crisis. It is a murder cover-up crisis. Allegedly.
Well,
I mean, come on. All these people are just hanging themselves.
Well,
No,
at the same time, I will say, like, I believe suicide is like the third cause of death here in America. Is that true? I read that somewhere. I mean,
I will say that now in these times, it's a highly stressful time in this country. I mean, celebrities aside,
yeah,
suicide in this country, and I don't mean to take anything away from, telling people that you seek help. You're depressed and you think there's no other option and you want to end it. You seek help. Like, that's great. Like what Linda Bennington is doing and trying to reach out to all these people. I think it's great. But on the subject of the celebrity suicides, it's a totally different story. Or even the suicides of, whether it's journalists associated with the, trying to out Hillary Clinton or the Clinton Foundation, or, there was a woman dealing with, I can't remember her name. Please forgive me for not remembering her name. But she was working in Haiti with human trafficking. And, she was helping with the human trafficking issue, and she ends up dead by alleged suicide and hangs herself. And this ties into Chris Cornell, because there are allegations that this woman contacted Chris Cornell because his name had come up or something had come up to make her want to contact him, in something she had found out with human trafficking. And in Rumorville, allegations, supposedly Chris Cornell was supposed to meet with this woman who was working in Haiti with the human trafficking, and they were supposed to meet in Colorado. I think it was maybe 2 or 3 shows after the Detroit show, and he was supposed to be there, and they were supposed to meet. But he obviously didn't make it.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that's been out there that a lot of people have been talking about, and it just makes you wonder. I mean, Chris was out there speaking for children and wrongs done to children in a time where, not just the Me Too, that's just, sexual assault, but the pedophiles. It's insane. The pedophiles. I mean, and I just heard about, I don't know if this is true. I didn't look into it. You might know something about this Corey Haim thing. I heard he was, stabbed. Did you hear anything about that?
Corey Haim. Oh, wait, Corey Haim is dead. You mean Corey Feldman?
Feldman, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, Corey Haim.
He was stabbed?
But yeah, Feldman.
When was he stabbed?
He was supposed to come out with these names, and I don't know. I was just asking. I thought you might have heard about it. I haven't had time to look into it. But he was supposed to start naming names, and he survived. That's what I heard. I don't know how true this is.
Okay, Corey Feldman says he was stabbed. Police say there were no lacerations.
There are no lacerations, but he said he was stabbed? Oh, okay. So,
Okay, I'll look at fact check if I want to trust Snopes on this. But yeah,
I don't trust Snopes.
Yeah, he was saying he was going to come out with names, but he did come out with some names, but I don't think they're the names that people were expecting. He came out and said a John Grissom and a Marty Viss were pedophiles, but they were already convicted. They were already convicted and known. That wasn't really what people were expecting.
No, because I thought he was saying there was some big name he didn't dare name.
Yeah, and it was hinting around it because he was trying to say that he can't say it because if he did, because statute of limitations, they can't go after him. And he was trying to say it was supposed to be the person who raped Corey Haim. That's who it was supposed to be.
Oh, okay. But so he was stabbed and there were no lacerations? Sorry, this is digression, but
I know.
It just popped in my head and I thought I'd ask. You might have heard about it.
I mean,
but it kind of ties in.
I'm just looking at it right now. Yeah, so Corey Feldman names sexual abuser John Grissom, not to be confused with the author Grisham.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Grissom. I should try to enunciate that a little better. He says he's the one who sexually abused Corey Haim, but people were expecting a much bigger name, like something.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, he had alluded to the fact that it was like a big name.
Like for some reason, Charlie. Why is it Charlie Sheen's name gets dropped in these allegeds? Charlie Sheen accused of raping Corey Haim. What?
I don't know. I see Sheen's name pop up all over the place. I don't know.
But Charlie Sheen is so crazy. I almost wouldn't put it past him. I don't know. Like that guy went off the rails. Hardcore, smoking crack and fucking cheap hookers. I don't know what the fuck he was doing. Especially when
he's quite questionable. His behavior is very questionable. I mean, I wouldn't doubt the rumors out there, but.
And is he still married to Denise Richards? Because I remember there was a time when Denise Richards, I was like, man, she's hot. Like, I don't know what's going on with her. I know the digression. That's what happens on the show. One digression leads to another digression. But the good questions, damn it. The good fucking questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
So where were we?
We were pretty much wrapping. I think we were wrapping up David Geffen's motive for wanting to take care of Chris.
Yes. Well, like I said, I had been following the money, and it just kept leading me to Geffen. So I'm like, oh, what's his deal? What's going on with Geffen? And like I said, I came to those articles where, that people fleeing the pedophiles, convicted pedophiles he was in business with, fleeing the country because they're fearing for their lives. Mm-hmm. Then, we have the porn star, doesn't dare name Geffen's name. And then there was another one. I found another article where about David Geffen being at a party where pedophilia had taken place and somebody had been convicted for acts that had happened at that party, but his lawyer said that he didn't know anything about it. But what I would find, what I think would be interesting is bring David Geffen into a court of law without his high-priced lawyer.
Oh, well, yeah, you're not going to do that.
See what happens. You know what I mean? Let Geffen take the stand and let him represent himself. And
good luck on that.
I'd be very interested.
Yeah, good luck on that. Good luck.
Yeah, right. I know. I can dream. But no, it's very questionable. And I follow the money. And then with the Geffen, all these people fearing for their lives. He's backing businesses of convicted pedophiles, working with convicted pedophiles, and then I found today, Vicky's best friend is buddies with David Geffen. And, there are allegations out there that, Geffen came to Vicky a year ago. I mean, not a year ago now, but a year before Chris's death.
So David came to Vicky. Why?
Well, because it's Chris's wife, and, Chris is going to out Geffen, and guess what? Allegedly, Vicky has all this shady shit in her background and all this shady business crap going on that she could get busted for. And supposedly, Geffen's like, hey, let's strike up a deal. I get rid of all that shit. You don't have to worry about that. Don't worry. You're in the clear.
Well, I mean...
Your husband, let's get him hooked. He's a former addict.
Oh, so you
get him hooked again.
You think she's been? You think Vicky's been upping his meds without him knowing?
I don't know. These are allegations.
Yeah.
These are just allegations I've come across. It just makes you ask: Is it true? All I know is that at least what I get from it is that they were fighting. Mm-hmm. They were potentially separated. I mean, even if it was, some people claim they had been separated for a while. who knows? Maybe he had gone home and found out about all this money she had taken from the foundation, and he's like, holy crap!
Yeah,
that's my name. That's my name. That's my name on there. And where'd all this money go? And who knows what else he could have found out? And then you hear, from Chris's sister-in-law, Amy Decker, that there are all these horrible texts that Vicky sent to Chris that night. Mm-hmm. Well, what was she threatening him with? I say threatening him with because that's what I automatically assume because I know how people like her work. They hold things over your head, and I just assume, hey, your name's on it too, and hey, guess what? You're linked to this too. So if I'm going down, honey, you're going down with me. Oh, you want to leave me? Well, guess what, honey? You're addicted to drugs. Nobody's going to give you the kids. You're never going to see your kids again because you're a fucking drug addict. And a thief.
You think she was
look at all
like
the money gone from your foundation.
Oh, so you think she was getting like dirty, very dirty, playing like in the mud?
That seems like the kind of person she might potentially be.
Yeah, I can see that from her lawsuit habit. That definitely isn't someone that would be very positive and warm. That sounds like someone who'd be like spiteful.
Right. And there are some people who think that, just Vicky, oh my God, Chris was going to divorce her and, he found out about everything she was into and so she had him killed. Okay, great. I could believe that, but guess what? I can't believe that Vicky Cornell and Martin Kirsten, the bodyguard, could have pulled that off and had it covered up.
Yeah,
somebody, even if that's what happened, somebody bigger than them had to have had it covered up.
Yeah, someone else was
there. But then again, Vicky's somehow tied to a Russian billionaire.
Yeah.
The wife of a Russian billionaire, so I don't know what Vicky was into before Chris.
Blame it on the Russians. But there is a blind spot there that night, being that, are there cameras that show if anyone else went into the hotel room or anything?
I'm glad you bring that up because nobody has come forward with any surveillance, but they have claimed. I've read in articles, anyways. I've read in articles that they said that they've seen on the surveillance that nobody other than Martin entered or left Chris's room.
Okay.
Well, okay, I have a problem with that. First off, because first I want to see it. Because guess what? The head of the MGM is also tied into Homeland Security. So guess what? You bet your fucking ass you have the best fucking security going in your hotel. Why can't we see it? First of all. Second of all is, okay, so what about the IT guy that Martin claims went to Chris's room at, I'm going to quote Martin, at 11:34 to fix Chris's Apple TV. Okay, where's this IT person? Nobody took a statement. And if nobody else entered or left Chris's room, then did Martin lie about this IT person? What about the IT person? That's someone who had to have entered and left Chris's room because Martin says they went there.
Yeah. Now, who was that person? He's like the mystery. He could be.
Nobody knows.
He could be an assassin or a ninja or something. Yeah, he's like the mystery person. Who is he?
Well, that's what I wonder because that was something else I wanted to mention is that, okay, so I was just going over the autopsy. Okay? And so there's alga mortis is the cooling of the body after death.
Yes.
And the body and I've done the research that says that the body temperature cools 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit per hour until the body reaches room temperature. This is after the heart stops beating.
Okay.
And when the first responder came at 1, they said the body was cool to the touch all over. So that means Chris was dead before midnight.
Yeah, makes sense.
And so, Martin says he went to the room at 11:34 with the IT person, and that Chris was on the phone with Vicky while they were there. We don't know how long they were there. and they won't show us the surveillance. They won't show us the CCTV footage, so we can't confirm or deny any. We can't get timestamps. We can't get anything because they're not showing it to us.
Yeah.
And then another detail in the autopsy report is something called liver mortis. And what this is,
okay.
Yes, or it's called hypostasis. It's a discoloration of the skin due to pooling of the blood in the dependent parts of the body, the lowest extremities of the body, after the heart stops beating. Chris had it in his back.
Whoa,
he had it posteriorly. Yeah.
Okay.
But yet they say he hung himself from a door.
Mm-hmm.
So if he hung himself, how does he have liver mortis on his back? That means that when Chris's heart stopped beating and he died, that means he was lying on his back.
That makes sense. Okay. Well, now, what if, I mean, I guess someone could try to say, what about when the EMS people brought him down? Maybe he put him down on the floor, on the bathroom floor. Maybe developed it then.
He was already cool to the touch, which means he was already dead.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, you still try to resuscitate. You still try everything possible because you don't know. I mean, we don't know everything that the human body is capable of, and you still try.
You try.
But they said cool to the touch all over.
The other thing is the blood. I mean, that is a lot of blood for
someone. Well, yeah. I mean, he even had blood. It even, on the police report, it says he had blood splatter on his face.
Yeah.
Why does he have blood splatter? He has blood running from his mouth, blood splatter on his face, blood splatter on the floor, blood splatter on the side of the tub. There's a drag mark from the bathroom to the foot of the bed in the suite's master bedroom of blood, and then a pool of blood under his head. This is after they've already done resuscitation in the bathroom, then dragged his body across the floor to the bedroom. And there's still a pool of blood under his head?
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty telling.
That's a suicide by hanging?
That's what I'm kind of stuck on there, because...
And even, like I said, in that Detroit News article from May 15th of this year, of course, Vicky timed it out perfectly with the year anniversary to come out and say that she's concerned about the head trauma. And she said in that article that there is even a this isn't in my article I wrote because I found out after. Oh no, wait, did I put it in there? I think I did. I might have edited it in. But there's a report from the ambulance company that reports a head laceration.
Oh wow!
And I got a copy of that. A fellow truth seeker sent that to me, and let me see.
So we got this. This was a report from the ambulance,
from the ambulance that transported Chris's body.
Okay, and they noted a laceration on the face, on the head.
On the head, they noted a laceration on the head, and this the document was shared by a person on Twitter named Amanda at @scars_styles, and she claims that she got a copy of this from Vicky Cornell herself after that Detroit News article came out. A fellow truth seeker, Seal Griss, had shared this with me, that this ambulance report came straight from Vicky. I don't know if it did for certain, but yes, that the ambulance report states a head laceration. And also, like I had said, that Angela Anderson-Cobb had seen the drag mark of blood and the pool of blood under his head.
Okay.
When he was in the bedroom. So there is obvious head trauma that is completely ignored.
Oh yeah. It sounds like there's even more things coming out into the light that just went ignored. I mean, anything else? Anything else about that scene that we haven't touched yet?
About the scene, it's just, the whole scene seems staged to me. I mean, it said that the bed already looked like he had slept in it Well, he had just gotten out of the concert. How? He's been on the phone with his wife. Like, I don't know how the bed looked like he had already slept in it. But and the airplane ticket. I thought that was kind of questionable that they actually took a picture of the crumpled up and torn up.
Well, I have an idea why the bed would look like he slept in it. If whoever.
Well, I have an idea. I have an idea also.
Someone was
What's
in the
your
room,
idea?
Someone was in the room waiting for him.
Well, that's probably exactly what it was.
I mean, I don't know who
there
that
was somebody
person
there
is.
waiting. Yeah.
Maybe it's someone connected to David Geffen. Maybe it's someone connected to Vicky. Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe it's someone connected to Hillary.
I don't know either.
Maybe it's someone connected to the Clintons. I don't know. It sounds crazy, but
well, that's the big question. It's like, yeah, I mean, it seems, Vicky and Martin, obviously, I mean, just from the report, seem like they should be under investigation.
Man.
But they're, someone's pulling the strings because they're not powerful enough to get all this stuff hidden.
Now, are there any other? Oh, sorry. I was going to ask: are there any other suspects or possible alleged suspects in this that you know?
Well,
of?
I question. I question the doctor. I question this. The producer of The Promise.
Okay.
This Dr. Eric Israelian. Well, I mean, he's been stated as being a close friend of Chris and Vicky Cornell.
Yeah.
Well, he's also the producer of The Promise. And also, I read that he was Chris's doctor and the person who prescribed the medication.
Wow, that's...
The Ativan. I don't know if that's all true, but that's what I've found in my research. So he seems highly suspect. What's his tie into all of this? Like, okay, well, if Vicky, that's the one thing I don't understand. Vicky's all mad about this Ativan. Well, Martin says that he gave him the sleeping pills, and well, if this Dr. Israelian, who you guys were supposedly buddies with, was the doctor and prescribing it to him, then why aren't you going after the doctor? Why? Because you're friends with him? No. Come on. You're going after the medication. You know why you're going after the medication? And then she starts going after all this opiate addiction. Why? Because that's what the crisis is in this country. Everybody's addicted to opiates, and she's capitalizing on what this country is having problems with. That's my opinion.
The doctor could be connected. I mean, he's the one who prescribes him the medication. He worked with him on the...
He's the producer of The Promise.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of weird. So
he could be under question.
How long was he his doctor prescribing medication, and he's also the producer of a project that he's in? And that's just weird. That's weird.
I don't know how that all came about. Like, and again, it's coming from Vicky, so I don't know how true it is, and it's also in the media, so I don't know if they quoted her correctly, but she has said that he was on the Ativan for about a year before his death.
Okay.
But she's lied so much in the media, blatant lies. Those aren't allegations; they're obvious lies because the story keeps changing. She lies, so I don't know if that's true.
So now, why would the doctor take care of him? Was there something in the promise? Some sort of connection? I mean, did the doctor have any ties to some other dirty business that Chris knew about or something?
Well, Eric Israelian accompanied him on his trip to, when they went to, it was one big trip, the April before his death. And Eric Israelian had had accompanied him when he had gone, he played for the Pope. He had gone to the UN, and the UN is who is behind all these short films. So Eric Israelian is tied in with the UN. So Eric Israelian is tied in with all of them if he's the producer of this short film that's backed by the UN. I don't know a lot about Eric Israelian other than that. He's tied into the UN. obviously, if he's the producer of The Promise and he's a doctor, and articles have said that he was close friends with Vicky and Chris Cornell, and that he was also Chris's doctor. And I just find it strange that, Vicky wouldn't, go after, she's blaming the Ativan, she wouldn't go after the doctor. All these doctors prescribing these medications to former addicts, and they shouldn't prescribe. Well, then why don't you go after the doctor? It's just a big PR scam.
She can't touch him. She can't touch him.
Exactly. But, I mean, why wouldn't you be, saying something about it?
You think she would. You think she would sue him or try to, being all sue happy, unless there's some sort of...
Well, exactly.
Wow.
Well, and that's another thing. Vicky's lawyer is the same lawyer who's also represented DreamWorks.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of shady stuff about her lawyer that she used to try to get the insurance money, basically. She tried to go after...
Let me throw a few more allegedly and allegeds in here so we don't get sued by her lawyer. Everything here in this podcast is alleged.
Alleged, yes, alleged. Well, I mean, he's a high-priced lawyer, but she's also married to a rock star, so, she can afford it. But, she was, I guess, after his death, she was pictured with her lawyer going to Detroit to talk to the medical examiner, but the meeting never happened because she was so late. But I guess people had done research and found out, other people had done research saying he was an insurance lawyer, that she was just after the insurance money, and I don't know, and I've seen other things that I've just seen that he's represented different entities that are owned by David Geffen too, and I don't know, it's just, but then again, people could argue, David Geffen, that's, he was under his label, so he cares. David Geffen cares. Oh. So he's, Vicky, use my lawyer. I'll give you, whatever you need. I will help you. Hey, I don't know. These are allegations, but then again, then you got to Linda Bennington and all the work she's doing in UCLA School of Medicine. Well, that's David Geffen, too. It's the David Geffen School of Medicine, UCLA, and
what's the connection there? So David, what's going on with that?
Well, I don't know. He started this School of Medicine back. I don't know. He owns it. I don't know what the connection is, but it's just every path leads me to David Geffen, but bringing up to Linda Bennington and Chester and the whole just what doesn't seem right is, Chester allegedly I don't even need to say allegedly. They say in the media that he hung himself on Chris's birthday.
Yeah.
Well, immediately after I hear that, I also see the tweet that, Chester didn't kill himself. Chester was murdered, and I know who did it.
Yeah, that should be my next thing.
Under Linda Bennington's account.
Wow.
But that was quickly deleted, and then she said, my account was hacked. Oh, that was convenient. That was great timing for your account to get hacked. But it's also like Vicky Cornell, after, some articles had come out about, what had happened that night and how people had said, Chris hung up on her, and, he just kept, she's like, he didn't sound right, and these are what the articles say, and like, and when she asked what was wrong, he said, I'm just tired, and hung up on her. Well, I saw the Twitter post that she said. She goes, by the way, or for your information or something like that, Chris's last words to me were not, I'm just tired.
Yeah, I read that too. I read that too.
But then that was quickly deleted too.
Oh, of course. So she's changing her narrative too changing her story to fit a narrative. So I don't think if she's the crafter of this narrative, she's real sloppy. I think someone else is behind it, helping her. She's not the mastermind. She's a pawn in it.
No.
Someone else is.
I don't think she's smart enough or rich enough.
If I were to bet, I would put it on David. Now, of course, this is all allegations. Allegedly.
All allegations.
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying, if some of the other names I've mentioned in the other podcast that will be coming out next Friday, it's about a Hollywood open secret. It goes pretty deep. Some of those names are connected with David. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah,
they flock together. Birds of a
like
feather.
I said, I'll pass lead to Geffen.
Wow. Just imagine DreamWorks burning down. Shit, that's fucking everything.
Yeah.
Everything on Netflix.
Huge.
Man.
Well, I was even looking into it, and was like, his Geffen and Universal Music Group is also tied into Warner Brothers, and tied into this other accent, and like, and then you get to this Russian, and then this Russian dude is also linked to the his name was brought up in the court case of the tampering with the election. So it's like, this shit runs deep, dude.
It does. Man, DeCamillis, we touched on some crazy things. You might want to make sure. Definitely don't answer any unrecognized. Don't answer any numbers you don't recognize. Don't answer the door
I never
to anyone you don't recognize. Just be careful, okay? We're probably going to be followed. I don't know how many people listen to this. I know the last one, it was quite a few people, and a lot of comments. I hope we went deeper this time. Don't know how much more deeper we can get, other than actually finding dirt on David. But
or Vicky Cornell, you keep watching her, and she's bound to hang herself.
Yeah, watch that.
Quote unquote, with all this too. So
yeah, she'll probably I'll watch. We should definitely watch what she's going to do. I mean, we'll see. But now I definitely want to look into Chester, see what happened with him, follow his story.
Yeah. I'm very curious. Wow. And I haven't looked into that deep enough, but yeah.
All right. Well, I definitely appreciate your time, and especially working with me through the technical difficulty that we had.
Thanks for having me.
It's no problem. Anytime, really. With that said, ladies, gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this. Renee, thank you so much. Y'all take it easy.
Thank you.